There are moments in life when a door opens. It opens quietly, often unexpectedly. And if you're not prepared, if your eyes aren't open, if your mind isn't ready, that door can close just as quietly. And what might have been remains only a whisper of possibility. I want to talk to you today about a topic that has been the turning point for many lives, including my own. It's about opportunity. Not just any opportunity, but that rare, significant moment that has the potential to change everything. That moment that arrives, knocks gently, and then waits for your decision. See, opportunity is a curious thing. It doesn't wear a name tag. It doesn't introduce itself with a formal handshake. It shows up in the form of hard work, in moments of struggle, and sometimes disguised as a setback. And if you're not prepared, if you're not watchful, it can pass you by. Some people think opportunity is a matter of luck. They believe it's reserved for the chosen few, the ones born with a golden ticket or a fortunate destiny. But I don't think that's true. No, I believe opportunity favors the prepared. It favors the observant. It favors the bold. Today, I want to take you on a journey to recognize, embrace, and act upon the opportunities that life presents. Because here's the truth, opportunity comes once, and if you waste it, it may never return. Opportunity is rare. It's a fleeting visitor, one that doesn't linger waiting for you to make up your mind. It's subtle. It doesn't come crashing through the door, it knocks gently. And when it knocks, you have a choice. You can either answer it, or you can let it slip away, hoping that it will come back again. But let me tell you something, it won't. There's an old saying, opportunity only knocks once. Now, I don't fully agree with that. You see, opportunity doesn't always knock loudly. It doesn't shout to get your attention. And yes, sometimes it may show up in different forms, but it won't keep knocking forever. It doesn't sit on the doorstep waiting for you to open the door. It knocks once, and if you don't respond, it quietly moves on looking for someone who's ready. And that's the key, readiness. The people who seem to have endless opportunities, who seem to be in the right place at the right time, aren't just lucky. They've trained themselves to recognize opportunity. They've made a habit of listening for it, of being aware when it appears, and most importantly, they've developed the courage to act on it. You see, we often think that success comes from some magical alignment of the stars, that the successful people in the world simply stumbled upon their fortune. But that's not true. What's really happening is that these people are prepared. They're prepared for the moment when opportunity knocks, because they've been practicing for it their whole lives. But here's the thing, you don't get to decide when opportunity will come. It doesn't follow your schedule. It doesn't check in with your plans. It doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It arrives when it does, and if you're not ready, you might miss it. The truth is, most people are waiting for the perfect opportunity. They say things like, I'll do it when the timing's right, or I'll act when I have everything in place. But that's not how it works. Opportunity doesn't wait for everything to line up perfectly. It doesn't wait for you to feel comfortable, to feel like you've got everything figured out. Opportunity is unpredictable. It can come at any moment, in any form. Think back to the most pivotal moments in your life, the decisions that really shaped your future. How many of them were planned? How many of them did you see coming? I'm willing to bet that the most important moments in your life arrived without warning. Perhaps it was a chance encounter, a conversation with a stranger that led to a lasting connection. Or maybe it was a job offer that came out of nowhere, a business opportunity that seemed too good to be true. But here's the catch, you didn't know it was coming, but you were ready. That's what makes all the difference. People who are successful have conditioned themselves to recognize the signs of opportunity. They've made it a habit to prepare for success, not when it's easy, but when it's challenging. And that preparation isn't just about learning skills or gaining experience. It's about something deeper. It's about mindset. It's about developing a mindset that is alert, that is aware, that sees potential where others see obstacles. Opportunities are all around us all the time, but you have to be prepared to see them. You have to be open to them. You have to be ready to act when they appear. And that's the real challenge. Staying ready. Because opportunity doesn't wait for you to feel comfortable. It doesn't wait for you to have everything in place. It arrives when it's ready, not when you are. Think about this for a moment. How many people do you know who spent years waiting for the right time? They waited for their bank account to be full, for the stars to align, for the world to hand them a golden ticket. And what happened? Years went by and they were still waiting. Opportunity passed them by and now they're left wondering what could have been. That's the risk you face when you wait for the perfect moment. You let opportunity slip away while you're busy planning, overthinking, and hesitating. But if you're prepared, if you've conditioned yourself to seize the moment when it comes, then you'll be ready. So, here's the question I want to ask you. Are you ready for opportunity when it arrives? It might not be exactly what you imagined, and it might not come at the perfect time. But if you're prepared, if you've cultivated the awareness and the courage to act, then you'll be ready to answer the door when it knocks. And when you do, you'll realize that the time to prepare for opportunity was before it came knocking, and the time to act is now. One of the greatest tragedies in life is the sound of missed opportunities. It's a quiet sound, a whisper of regret that grows louder over time. It's the what if that lingers in the mind. The silent reminder that you could have, but didn't. I've met so many people who carry the weight of regret. They look back on moments when they had a chance to take a risk, to step forward, to say eyes, but they hesitated. They let doubt creep in, and doubt, my friends, is a thief. It steals more dreams than failure ever will. Why do we hesitate? Why do we hold back when opportunity stands before us waiting? I'll tell you why. Fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. Fear disguises itself as caution, as rational thinking, as playing it safe. But deep down, it's fear. And fear can be paralyzing if you let it. But here's the truth, every opportunity comes with a price. Sometimes that price is effort, discipline, or sacrifice. Sometimes it's risking embarrassment or facing failure. And the question you need to ask yourself is this: am I willing to pay the price for the life I want? Because whether you act or not, there is always a price. The price of action is the discomfort of risk, but the price of inaction is the burden of regret. Think about it. How many people do you know who say, I wish I had taken that chance? How many people replay their missed opportunities like a broken record? They remember the job they didn't take, the business they didn't start, the person they didn't approach, and they carry that with them. It becomes a part of their story, a chapter they wish they could rewrite. And let me be clear, regret is a heavy burden. It's heavier than failure because failure comes with a lesson. When you fail, you learn something. You grow. You gain experience. But regret? Regret is a teacher without a lesson. It's a reminder of what could have been, not what was. I've always believed that the pain of discipline weighs ounces, but the pain of regret weighs tons. Discipline, making the effort, facing the fear, taking the leap. It may feel heavy in the moment, but it's temporary. Regret, however, lingers. It follows you, a shadow that doesn't fade. Opportunity doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It doesn't wait for you to be fearless. It doesn't wait for all the circumstances to be perfect. And the truth is, if you wait for the perfect moment, you'll wait forever. There is no perfect moment. There is only the moment you decide to act. I've seen people pass up chances because they were waiting for certainty. They wanted a guarantee that it would work out. But here's the thing, there are no guarantees. Life doesn't promise success just because you take a risk. But if you don't take the risk, you're guaranteeing failure. I've seen hesitation cost people years of their lives. They wait for the right time to start a business, to pursue a dream, to change their circumstances. They wait for everything to feel right, for the fear to fade. But the longer they wait, the harder it becomes. The weight of inaction grows heavier. The fear grows stronger. The opportunity grows distant. If there's one lesson I've learned, it's this: do it scared. Do it even when your heart races, when your hands shake, when your mind is filled with doubt. Because that moment of fear is temporary, but the impact of taking a chance can last a lifetime. I once heard someone say that the richest place in the world is the graveyard. Why? Because buried there are the ideas never pursued, the dreams never chased, the potential never realized, the songs that were never sung, the books that were never written, the businesses that were never built, all because people waited. They hesitated. They let fear rob them of their opportunity. Don't let that be your story. Don't let fear be the author of your life. When opportunity stands before you, don't ask, what if I fail? Ask, what if I succeed? Don't wonder, what if it doesn't work? Instead, consider, what if it does? Because at the end of your days, it won't be the failures you remember most. It will be the chances you didn't take, the opportunities you let pass. So, I ask you today, when opportunity knocks, will you answer, or will you let it slip away? Will you let fear write your story? Or will you take the pen and write it yourself? Opportunity is not always obvious. It doesn't always come with a banner, flashing lights, or a clear invitation. Most of the time, it arrives disguised as hard work, uncertainty, or even a setback. The truth is, opportunity often looks like a problem, a challenge, or something we wish we could avoid. I've met people who have said, I wish I had more opportunities. And I always ask, what are you looking for? Because more often than not, they're looking for the wrong thing. They expect opportunity to appear polished, perfect, and convenient. They want it to come at the right time, with all the risks calculated and all the doubts removed. But life doesn't work like that. Opportunity is rarely obvious, and it is almost never convenient. It often shows up in the middle of your struggles, your challenges, your doubts. It arrives when you're tired, when you're unsure, when you're wrestling with fear. That's why so many people miss it. They think, I'm not ready, or this isn't what I expected. Let me share this with you. The opportunity of a lifetime often comes disguised as a challenge. It's wrapped in difficulty, hidden in uncertainty, and it requires a sharp mind to recognize it. Those who train themselves to see beyond the surface, to dig deeper, to think critically, are the ones who see the treasure buried beneath the dirt. But seeing opportunity is not just a matter of vision, it's a matter of mindset. You have to condition your mind to see possibilities instead of problems. You have to develop the ability to look at a situation and ask, what can I learn from this? How can I use this to grow? What potential lies in this challenge? I've seen people transform their lives, not because they had more opportunities than others, but because they learned to see the ones they had. They took what others ignored and turned it into gold. They took a difficult job, a tough circumstance, a setback, and found a way to extract value from it. I've often said, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for fewer problems, wish for more skills. Why? Because when you become better, when you become more skilled, more knowledgeable, more aware, you begin to see what others miss. You see opportunities where others see obstacles. You see potential where others see problems. But here's a challenge. Most people are conditioned to see what's wrong rather than what's possible. They see the risks, the drawbacks, the difficulties. They see the reasons not to act, the reasons to hesitate. And so, they miss out. They walk past doors of opportunity because they don't look like doors. They look like walls. If you want to seize opportunity, you need to sharpen your mind. You need to train yourself to look deeper, to ask better questions. When faced with a challenge, don't just see the problem, see the possibilities it brings. When confronted with a setback, don't just see the disappointment, see the lesson hidden inside it. I've learned that the people who find opportunity are those who actively seek it. They're not waiting for it to appear in a perfect package. They're looking for it in the mess of life. They see opportunity in a challenging project, in a difficult client, in a market that's shifting, in an economy that's uncertain. They see what others ignore. And here's the best part. The more you practice this, the sharper your vision becomes. The more you train your mind to see opportunity, the more opportunities you will see. It's not that the world has changed, it's that you've changed. You've developed a new lens, a new perspective, a new ability to see beyond the obvious. Some people walk through life with their eyes wide open, but their minds closed. They see only what's on the surface, the struggle, the hardship, the fear. But those who succeed, those who seize opportunity, have trained themselves to see beyond what's visible. They see the invisible possibilities, the potential buried beneath the problems. So, my challenge to you is this: train your eyes to see. Open your mind to possibilities. Don't just wait for opportunity to knock, seek it out. Create it if you must. Be the person who sees potential where others see difficulty. Be the person who asks, what can I do with what I have? Because opportunity isn't always found. Sometimes it's made. Sometimes it's created by those who have the courage to see beyond what is and imagine what could be. And that, my friends, is the difference between those who wait for opportunity and those who seize it. One waits for the knock, the other builds a door. Opportunity doesn't wait for permission. It doesn't wait until you feel ready, confident, or comfortable. It arrives, often unannounced, and it requires you to act. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. I've met people who have missed out on great possibilities because they waited too long. They waited for the right time, the perfect moment, the guarantee of success. But the truth is, there is no perfect moment. There is no guarantee. Opportunity rarely waits until you have everything figured out. More often than not, it requires a leap of faith. And here's the reality. Opportunity favors the bold, the courageous, the ones who are willing to act despite uncertainty. Action is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Thinking, planning, considering. All of that has its place, but nothing replaces action. I've often heard people say, what if I'm not ready? And I respond, what if you are, and you just don't realize it? What if the opportunity before you is the very thing that will help become ready? What if the process of pursuing it is what will prepare you? You don't have to have it all figured out before you start. You just need to start. Action breeds confidence. It builds momentum. When you take that first step, no matter how small, you break the cycle of hesitation. You send a message to your mind that you are not waiting for life to happen to you. You are making life happen. You are not just a spectator, you are a participant. I've seen people wait their entire lives for the right time, and I've seen others who took the chance with trembling hands and uncertain hearts. And they grew stronger along the way. They learned as they went. They adjusted, they adapted, they persevered. And because they acted, they discovered what they were capable of. Here's a question to considering. What would you do if you weren't afraid of failing? What opportunities would you pursue if you believed you were capable of achieving them? What if the only thing standing between you and your dream is the courage to act? Opportunity doesn't ask if you're ready. It tests you to see if you will take the step regardless. It sees if you're willing to face the uncertainty, to embrace the risk, to take responsibility for your choices. And the irony is this: the very act of stepping forward makes you more prepared than you ever thought you could be. I've heard stories of people who took a chance and stumbled, who faced rejection, who met failure head on. And yet, every single one of them said it was better to have tried and failed than to have never tried at all. Why? Because action, even if imperfect, brings growth. It brings insight, experience, resilience. When you act, you learn. You learn what works and what doesn't. You learn about yourself, your strengths, your limits, your potential. You learn that failure is not the end. It is a step along the way. And that learning, that growth is invaluable. But when you wait, when you hesitate, when you hold back, you learn nothing. You remain stuck, frozen by fear, watching as others move forward. You see them take chances, seize opportunities, grow stronger. And deep down, you wonder, what if that could have been me? I've always believed that the greatest risk is not the risk of failure. It is the risk of never trying. It is the risk of living a life marked by hesitation, of watching doors close that you never had the courage to walk through. So, let me ask you this, one step you can take today. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today. What can you do right now to move closer to the opportunities you seek? Maybe it's making that phone call, sending that email, starting that project, applying for that position, or simply deciding to believe that you can. Because the truth is, action doesn't need to be massive to be meaningful. It just needs to be deliberate. It needs to be purposeful. It needs to be consistent. I've seen people change their lives not because they made a grand, sweeping change all at once, but because they took small, consistent steps every day. They didn't wait for the perfect time, they created the time. They didn't wait for confidence, they built confidence through action. Don't wait for permission to pursue your dreams. Don't wait for someone to tell you it's okay to take a chance. Give yourself that permission. Decide that you are worthy of the opportunities before you, that you are capable of pursuing them, that you are strong enough to face the challenges they bring. Because at the end of your days, it won't be the dreams you chased that you regret. It will be the ones you didn't. It won't be the risks you took that weigh on your heart. It will be the risks you avoided. It won't be the failures that linger. It'll be the moments you never dared to try. So, act. Act boldly. Act courageously. Act even when you are afraid. Because action, no matter how small, is the first step towards seizing the opportunity that could change your life. There's a price to pay for missing opportunities. It's not always immediate, and it's not always obvious, but it's there. It lingers quietly, creeping in as time goes by, and its weight grows heavier each day. It's called the cost of inaction. Most people underestimate this cost because it's not always visible. When we miss an opportunity, there's no alarm that goes off, no flashing sign that says, "You've missed your chance!" Life carries on, often just as it was. But beneath the surface, something begins to happen. Regret starts to take root. I've had conversations with people in their later years, and you know what I've noticed. It's not the failures they regret most. It's the chances they didn't take. It's the opportunities they ignored, the risks they avoided, the dreams they left unrealized. The weight of those missed chances can be heavier than any failure. Regret is a silent thief. It doesn't just steal your past, it steals your present. It keeps you wondering, what if? It holds you back, makes you hesitant, makes you doubt whether you can still change your life. And here's the harsh truth: the more opportunities you let slip by, the more difficult it becomes to believe that you can seize the next one. But there's something we must understand: not deciding is a decision. Not acting is an action in itself. Each time we choose not to pursue an opportunity, we are actively deciding to stay where we are. We are choosing comfort over growth, security over possibility, familiarity over potential. I've heard people say, "I didn't lose anything by not trying." But is that true? Is there not a loss in remaining the same? Is there not a cost in staying stuck, in refusing to grow, in not becoming what you could be? Imagine standing at a crossroads, and every path before you leads to a different version of your future. Each choice, action, each opportunity has the power to shape who you become. When you choose to do nothing, you are still choosing a path of missed possibilities. I've always said, discipline weighs ounces, but regret weighs tons. Taking action requires effort, courage, discipline, and sacrifice. But the burden of not acting, of letting opportunities pass you by, is far greater. That weight can follow you for a lifetime. The cost of inaction is not just lost opportunities, it's lost potential. It's the person you could have become, the skills you could have developed, the experiences you could have gained. It's the impact you could have made, the difference you could have created, not just in your life, but in the lives of others. Think about it. Every opportunity missed is a part of your potential left unexplored. It's a talent left unused, a strength left dormant, a passion left unfulfilled. It's the book that was never written, the business that was never started, the relationship that was never built. It's a part of your story that remains untold. And here's something we need to remember: time is a resource we cannot replenish. We can earn back money, rebuild our careers, mend relationships, and regain health to some extent. But time, once it's gone, it's gone. Each day that passes is a day we don't get back. Each year that slips by is a year of opportunity lost. I've met people who tell me, I'll do it next year. I'll take that chance when things settle down. I'll go after my dreams when I'm ready. But what if next year never comes? What if the chance you have today is the only chance you'll ever get? Waiting for the perfect moment is the fastest way to let opportunities pass by. Life will never be perfectly aligned. Circumstances will never be completely ideal. If you wait for everything to be just right, you'll spend your whole life waiting. Here's a tough question to consider. How many opportunities have you already let slip by? How many times have you hesitated when you should have acted? What has that cost you? In growth, in experiences, in the person you could have become. But this isn't about dwelling on the past. It's about understanding the value of today. It's about realizing that every moment you wait, the cost of inaction grows. The weight of regret gets heavier. The fear of taking action gets stronger. And the belief that you can still change begins to fade. The great thing is that recognizing this cost can be a turning point. It can wake you up, shake you out of complacency, and push you to act. It can make you realize that the price of missed opportunity is far too high. Higher than the fear of failure, higher than the discomfort of change, higher than the risk of making a mistake. So, ask yourself honestly, what is the cost of not acting? What will it cost you if you continue to wait, to hesitate, to stay where you are? Will you look back and wish you had tried, even if it meant risking failure? Or will you be content knowing you never stepped forward? Don't let the cost of inaction rob you of your potential. Don't let it steal the opportunities that are right in front of you. If you want to live without regret, if you want to become the person you were meant to be, you must take action. You must seize the moment, embrace the opportunity, and step forward, even when it's uncertain. Because the cost of trying and failing is temporary, but the cost of not trying at all, that can last a lifetime. If we're going to talk about opportunity, we must also talk about its companion, failure. You see, they walk together. Wherever there is a chance for success, there is a risk of failure. That's why most people hesitate. That's why they let opportunities slip by. They're not just afraid of failing, they're afraid of what failure might say about them. But here's a truth that's not always easy to accept. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of success. The people who achieve great things, who seize big opportunities, are not the ones who avoid failure. They are the ones who are willing to face it. I once knew a young man who had a brilliant idea for a business. He had the knowledge, the resources, the network, everything he needed to make it work. But there was one thing he couldn't overcome: the fear of failing. Every time he thought about launching his idea, doubts crept in. What if it doesn't work? What if I lose money? What if people think I'm foolish? So, he waited. He kept telling himself he would start when he felt more confident, when the timing was perfect, when there was no chance of failure. Years went by and someone else brought a similar idea to life. That person took the risk, faced the possibility of failing, and reaped the rewards. And the young man, he watched from the sidelines, burdened not just by regret, but by the knowledge that his fear of failure cost him the opportunity of a lifetime. Fear of failure is the gatekeeper of opportunity. If you want to pass through that gate, you must be willing to risk stumbling. You must be willing to experience setbacks, face criticism, and confront doubt. Here's a perspective to consider. What if failure is not something to be feared, but something to be learned from? What if every failure contains a lesson, a stepping stone, a piece of insight that brings you closer to your goal? When you look at it that way, failure becomes less of a threat and more of a teacher. I've met people who took risks, faced setbacks, and fell flat on their faces. Some lost money, some lost confidence, some felt the sting of public embarrassment. Yet those same people, the ones who got back up, who analyzed what went wrong, who adjusted their approach, eventually succeeded. They took what they learned from failure and used it to build something stronger, something better. I've also seen those who avoided failure at all costs. They played it safe, stayed in their comfort zones, never took risks. They never faced failure, but they never tasted success either. They chose a quiet, cautious existence over the bold pursuit of their dreams. And do you know what they regret most? Not that they failed, but that they never tried. The truth is, if you're afraid to fail, you're afraid to succeed. Because success requires risk. It requires putting yourself out there, being vulnerable, trying things that may not work. It means embracing the possibility of failure because you believe the opportunity is worth it. Now, I understand that failure can be painful. It can wound your pride, shake your confidence, and make you question yourself. But the pain of failure is temporary. It fades with time, with learning, with growth. The pain of regret, however, lingers. It can stay with you for a lifetime. Imagine if years from now, you look back on your life and realize that the only thing holding you back was your fear of failing. Imagine realizing that the opportunities you longed for were always within reach, but you were too afraid to grasp them. Here's the irony: failure is not the end. In fact, failure is often the beginning of a new approach, a new strategy, a new level of understanding. Many of the most successful people I've known failed countless times before they found success. They didn't see failure as a verdict, they saw it as feedback. So, ask yourself, what is worse? Failing and learning, or never trying and always wondering? What would you attempt if you knew failure was part of the process, not the end of the journey? Remember, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the decision to act despite fear. It's acknowledging that failure may come, but choosing to take the risk anyway because the possibility of success is worth it. Failure is a price we pay for progress. It's the toll we pay on the road to success. If you are unwilling to pay that toll, you will remain stuck at the gate, watching others pass through while you wonder what might have been. Opportunity demands courage. It demands that you embrace uncertainty, that you step into the unknown, that you take the risk of stumbling along the way. But it also promises growth. It promises lessons. It promises a life lived fully, not cautiously. So, here's a question to reflect on: what opportunities are you missing because you're afraid of failing? What doors have you left unopened because you fear what's on the other side? Don't let the fear of failure hold you back. Let the possibility of success pull you forward. Let the dream of a better future outweigh the fear of a temporary setback. Remember, failure is not a loss, it is a lesson. It is a part of the journey, not the end of it. The opportunity before you is worth the risk. The chance to change your life, to create something meaningful, to become something greater. That is worth facing failure for. Because at the end of it all, it is better to try and stumble than to never try at all. We've walked through a lot together in these past moments. The fleeting nature of opportunity, the weight of regret, the courage to face failure. But there is one final piece to this puzzle, a piece so critical that without it, all the wisdom in the world means nothing. That piece is action. Bold, decisive, intentional action. You see, understanding opportunity is not enough. Recognizing the cost of inaction is not enough. Acknowledging your fears and failures is not enough. If you don't take action, if you don't seize the moment that is right in front of you, all the knowledge, all the awareness, all the insight will be wasted. Most people live their lives preparing to live. They wait for the right moment, the right circumstances, the right level of confidence. They spend years getting ready, and yet they never start. They're always planning, always preparing, but never acting. Life doesn't wait. Time doesn't pause for you to build your courage or gather more information. It doesn't stop while you plan and perfect. Opportunity doesn't sit on your doorstep forever. It knocks, and if you don't answer, it moves on. I've seen people waste years, decades even, waiting for the right time. But here's a harsh reality: there is no right time. There is only now. Now is all we have. This moment, this day, this breath, it's all we are guaranteed. And every day you wait is a day you lose. A day that could have been a step forward. A day that could have been progress. A day that could have been one step closer to the life you dream of. Do you know what the most powerful words are in the English language? I will. I might. Not. I'll try. But I will. There is power in commitment, in the decision to act, in the resolve to take a step forward even when it's uncertain. I've spoken to people who look back and say, I wish I had started sooner. And I've spoken to people who took a risk, who acted despite the fear, and they say, I'm so glad I did. The difference between those two people is not in their talent, their intelligence, or their resources. It is in their willingness to act. Every opportunity has an expiration date. Every door that opens will eventually close. If you wait too long, if you hesitate too much, if you let fear stop you, the door may close, and the chance may be gone forever. Now, this might sound like pressure, and in a way it is. But pressure isn't something to avoid, it's something to embrace. Pressure can sharpen you, push you, force you to make decisions that you've been putting off. Sometimes, pressure is the very thing that drives you to action. I've seen people transform their lives in a matter of months. Not because they suddenly gained new knowledge or resources, but because they decided, enough is enough. They stopped waiting. They stopped hesitating. They stopped making excuses. And they acted. Maybe there's something you've been putting off, a decision you've been avoiding, a dream you've been postponing. Maybe it's a business idea, a career change, a personal goal, a relationship that needs mending. Whatever it is, you know it, you feel it. You think about it when you're alone, when you're quiet, when there's no distraction to drone it out. That's your opportunity, the moment to act. So, what will you do? Will you keep waiting, keep delaying, keep preparing for a day that may never come? Or will you take the step? Imperfect, unprepared, uncertain, but committed. You don't have to see the whole path to take the first step. You don't have to have all the answers to begin. All you need is the willingness to act. All you need is the courage to say, I will. Imagine, just for a moment, if you stopped waiting, if you stopped overthinking, if you stopped doubting yourself. What if instead you just started? What if you embraced the uncertainty, accepted the risk, and trusted that you'd learn along the way? Imagine where you could be a year from now if you started today. Imagine the growth, the progress, the strength you could gain. Imagine looking back, not with regret, but with pride. Pride that you chose to act, that you chose to seize the moment, that you chose to live fully, not cautiously. I've always said, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. But there's another bridge, one that comes even before discipline, and that is decision. The decision to act, the decision to start, the decision to make the most of the opportunity before you. This is your moment. Not tomorrow, not someday. Today. The opportunity you have is right here, right now. Don't let it pass you by. Don't let fear hold you back. Don't let doubt keep you on the sidelines. Because when the dust settles, when the years pass, when time has taken its course, it won't be the failures you regret most. It will be the chances you didn't take, the opportunities you didn't seize, the moments you let slip by because you were waiting for the right time. The right time is now. The opportunity is now. And it's yours if you have the courage to take it, Thank you for your time, your attention, and your willingness to reflect. The choice is yours, and it always has been.